All right. How'd you guys like that intro? July 4th today, and I'm starting to work on the monster system again. As you can see, we have a total of 6 monsters now, well 6 zombies. All the types I planned out are now fully implemented. Previously in videos, you mainly just saw the normal monster and the fast monster, these two. But all the other ones are implemented. Let me just go ahead and show you. These are all the monsters. Some of the assets I used from Fab, some of them are from mixamo.com. Look at all these zombies here. Nice little group of them. So getting it out of the way early, these 4 zombies highlighted were the easiest to implement, mainly because they're essentially the same zombie. The only difference code-wise is statistics. Other than that, the only major difference is the assets I used, animations, things like that. So let's kind of run through them quickly. So this guy, the normal zombie, really nothing too crazy interesting about this guy. He's kind of just your normal zombie. There isn't really too much of a role for this zombie. I mean, I guess the main thing is that he's supposed to be overwhelming in numbers. This was kind of just the starting point of building out all of these zombies. We got the fast zombie here. You might have seen in previous videos it was a different asset. I'll show it up now. This was from mixamo.com. It was okay. I was fine with it at the beginning, but I don't know, it just doesn't look that great, especially if you look at the hair. It's just like paper. So I found a different asset on Fab, which I do like a lot more. In terms of role, it's really just you can't outrun it. You have to kill it. This is supposed to prevent the whole zombie training that you could do in regular Call of Duty zombies. If there's enough of them spawned, then you can't really just loop around the arena training them. You have to be on the lookout for these fast monsters. Now we have, it's so dark here, but we have the tank monster. This was probably my favorite one to implement. He just looks so funny. Really isn't anything too special. High health, slow movement, hits harder. This was one of those ones where the Fab asset pack I wanted to use isn't currently up to date to Unreal Engine 5.7, so I was kind of bummed about that. But because I wanted a fat monster to be the tank monster. Because like if the player's running around the arena, I'd want the player to be like, oh, there's a big guy. The solution I came across was, well, I stretched him out. In the ABP here, I have what I call the fatinator, where I just adjusted the scale of the hips. And of course, from the hips, everything falls under there. This is what he looks like normally. And then if I put him through the fatinator, there you go. But I'm honestly happy how this turned out. This was super fun to implement even though it didn't take that long. He just looks really funny, and especially with the animations. I'll just show you what came to mind. The last zombie of the 4 is the brute zombie. This guy is just a problem. That's the role he's supposed to be. Whenever he spawns in, he's just supposed to be a problem. Higher health, higher speed, higher damage. He's just a normal zombie with increased stats. There isn't going to be too many of them, but when he does spawn, he's a problem. He's supposed to be your Panzers, your Brutuses, your mini bosses that when they spawn in, you know there's a problem if you're not prepared. But there he is in all his glory. Let me show you the animations to really get that point across. He's just, again, when he's standing there, when he's running, he's just supposed to be menacing. That's the goal. Like, if he's running at you like that, I just imagine that he's going to be a problem. Alright, and then we get on to the thief monster. The goal of this guy is, again, to be a problem. Not like the brute, but if you get hit by him, he steals your resources. In terms of implementation, I set it up in the resource manager on player damage. The reasoning I set it up in here, I'm still kind of conflicted about setting it up within the resource manager compared to the event graph of the thief monster. The thief monster is the object with that unique functionality where it deals damage to the player and the player loses resources. However, the resource system within this game is its own complete different entity. It's not directly attached to the player class. So it has control over everything about resources in terms of adding resources, earning resources, So it made more sense for me to keep track of losing resources within the resource manager as well. But for that, as you saw, damage causer, if it has the gameplay tag thief, there you go, thief, we subtract resources, which right now I have a function. I might want to mess around with this further. It's just subtract expecting a percentage amount, which I have set up in the resource manager. Right now it's to 10%. I might want to see if I can pull this from the monster itself. That way it's not tied to this. Yeah. Super cool asset. Once I saw this asset, I knew I had to use it. I think it was free some time ago, like a couple of months ago, and I just knew I had to use this. Last but not least, the exploding monster. This one took the most amount of work because this guy's functionality is probably the most complex. In hindsight, it sounds really simple. This guy, again, is just an extension of the normal zombie. He basically does everything the normal zombie does, but he has these dynamites attached to him. Once he dies, you'll drop them. After a timer, they'll explode. Super simple, right? This is the monster that really has the most combat arms inspiration. Tried to get that explosive guy look with the striker functionality. So I think I did somewhat well with that. This guy's main role is really just area denial. He's not really a problem up until you kill him. In terms of functionality, this is where I tried to explore more with the event graph, do some more things with blueprint coding that isn't within animations. Within the explosive zombie, it isn't really too crazy because really all of this just happens on death. On event play, I'm binding the monster death function to its own event, responding the explosives at specific sockets I have set up within the asset. I just have them set to either side of the zombie's hip. This will trigger the functionality within the explosive I'll get to in a second, and then it'll hide the static meshes I have attached to the zombie. Explosive. Two functions. Begin play when the explosive gets spawned, and explode. Well, you know, kaboom. So begin play, we're adding initial impulse so it doesn't just fall directly to the ground. There's some sort of variation to where the explosives go to give it some sort of randomness. We're setting up a timer based on the function for explode, spawning the sparks for the dynamite. This is a little seasoning, I guess, just to make it look better, moving the sparks from top to bottom, and the sizzle. The actual explode function, so we have the actual damage part with the fall off function I'm using, spawning the explosion visual effects, then the sound effects, camera shake. I didn't know Unreal Engine already had built-in camera shake, so that was super cool to find out, and I may have to use that for my player hit or make my own version of that instead of just doing some random interpolation, because the way this looks is really good. I'll show that in a quick second. Spawning the decal just on the ground, debug spheres just for testing purposes, destroy the actor. There was a lot of iteration for creating the explosives. I'll show you the progression of me building out this explosive actor. So these are the 6 zombies I have in the game. I think there's a good amount of variety for what zombies you have to face, and I think that'll make things interesting compared to regular zombies where there was really only one type of zombie you had to face. Maybe, I'm trying to think of how many zombies there would be. In modern zombies, it feels like there's only 3 or 4 different types of zombies max per map. So I think having a lot of this variety would make it interesting. That's really all for now. Next up for me, I gotta refactor my whole object pool system, because right now there's no variety in what zombies are being spawned, and I want to get that changed. So that'll be next. Alright, thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later.